Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, you may not be able to see it, but we are totally moving at 120 frames per second. To break the seal, crystals must be placed in statues in 6 well-guarded palaces. So the Nintendo Cartridge Society places crystals in statues in 6 well-guarded palaces with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, and then on Thursday, it's Nintendo Game Cage Match. Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. I got my stent out at the end of last week. Yes, I am feeling like a new person. I'm feeling footloose. And fancy free.
Right, and we nicknamed your stint Fancy, of course.
Yeah, that's right.
You are now fancy free.
Yes, it's feeling good, feeling loose.
Okay. Do you want to feel loose?
Feeling like my innards have been stretched and zapped and all the kind of stuff.
Well, I'm glad that you are feeling better, Mark. I washed a pair of sneakers this weekend. And I left them outside my house to dry.
Yeah, how'd that go?
In the sun. It went okay, but I put them out like too late, so they were not fully dry by the time I brought them in. So they were like sitting on our like floor mat, right? And then this morning I was like, okay, I need to do something about this. And that's how much I remembered when I got back home from work and was like, wait, where are my shoes? So, Mark, what do you think I did with my shoes? I looked all around the apartment. They're not in there.
Is this a question that has an answer? Like,
it is a question that has an answer, yes.
Okay, I think that you...
What did I do with a pair of damp shoes?
Yeah, what did you do with the pair? Did you put them in the bathtub?
I did. That's it. I mean, what a great answer. What a great solution. What a great thing I did not do.
Did you put them in the oven?
Here's the thing. I put them in my car because I was going to take them to work and then leave them out at work. But I was like scouring the apartment being like, where did I put these shoes?
Yeah. So did they... Oh, okay. 2 questions.
Yes.
When you put them in your car, they were still damp.
They were still a little damp. Yeah, I just put them in like the trunk of the car.
But not damp enough that it made your car smell.
No.
And did they dry in the trunk?
I don't know. I just remembered that I put them there as I was driving over here to record with you tonight.
Got it.
Like I was so mad. I was like, "Where are my like shouting to myself? No one else is home."
Perfectly normal.
Perfectly normal. Healthy. Yes, we're all having a great, normal, good week. No one's stressed out.
No, everything's going great.
If you'd like to support us, you can go over to Nintendo Cartridge Society. No, that's not right. Patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if you're supporting us at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, you can get access to our miniseries that we put out, like NCS Arcade.
Yes, where Patrick and I play games that we have never beaten before, for the most part.
Yes.
And for April, we are going to be playing and talking about Okami.
Yeah.
The PlayStation 2 original from Capcom and Clover Studios. And I'm really excited to talk about this Zelda-like adventure.
You know what my favorite part about Okami so far is just saying the name Amaterasu.
Oh, see, that's good. I think that it's going to be a bloodbath in that episode, trying to pronounce all of the different character names that are available to us.
I'm giving up on that right now. In advance.
Yeah.
But yes, so you should be following us over there if you are interested in that. We also do these listener feedback episodes where we continue talking about the game that we just played. We are going to be recording a listener feedback episode on Donkey Kong 94. No one's emailed us about it yet, so
there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, a lot of stuff that people want to talk about. So I get it. No,
but we are going to put out a listener feedback episode talking about Donkey Kong 94, some sort of hook.
Yeah,
and
hook TBD.
Yes,
right.
yes, but that will be coming this week. for sure.
Yes, right. And that is free for anyone who follows us on any level over on Patreon. So for free for the $4, for 8 or 16, up to you. Everyone can listen to us talk a little bit more about Donkey
so
Kong
head on
94.
over to Patreon and follow us for free.
And another thing you can do for free is you can join our Discord. There's going to be a Nintendo Direct later this week. You're going to want to be in the Discord to talk about it. So if you're not already there, email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com. And we, Mark, we'll let you in. Send you an invitation. You just be there. Chat with the keyboard.
It's a good time.
Also, here's an announcement. Mark, a couple years ago, for our 433rd episode, we did one whole episode of just the 433 segment.
That's right. We asked for listener questions that could be about literally anything. They could be about us. They could be about the show. They could be
about literally anything except
Nintendo.
Yes.
And we are going to be doing that again for our 866th episode.
If you can believe such a thing. This episode right now that you're listening to is our 848th episode. So, we got a couple weeks here before we're even going to be approaching it. But start thinking about it now. Start posing your questions or your topics for us to talk about for 4 minutes and 33 seconds each for our 866th episode.
Yes, and anything's on the table except Nintendo.
Also, we will just reject some questions outright, I'm sure. We won't answer everything. We'll do a lot. Mark, speaking of questions that we've been emailed, we have an email from a listener named Kurt, which I think we should address. It is all about Nintendo, so it belongs in this part of the show and not later. Kurt writes, Dear Nintendo Cartridge Society, I'm in a bit of a pickle, and I'm hoping you two fine gentlemen are able to help me. Last year, Nintendo had an offer where you could purchase NSO vouchers a bit cheaper. Frugal that I am, I bought 2, so 2 plus 2, so two sets of vouchers. For 4 games, right? Of them, thinking 3 games would be certain locks. Echoes of Wisdom, Prime 4, and Pokemon Legends ZA. However, neither Metroid nor Legends ZA are eligible options, and the expiration date for the vouchers is July. So, having only bought Echoes of Wisdom so far, by the way, a very cozy game, Mark. Maybe give it another shot. I am now in a position where I have 3 vouchers remaining and no idea what to buy. Very first world problem, I am aware, but still. What would you fellas recommend? How do how would you spend my vouchers? For reference, I do have similar tastes. I like and own the Zeldas, Metroids, Donkey Kongs, Dragon Quests, and of course the Famicom Detective Club games, which, by the way, is how I was able to find your podcast. Shout out to the Famicom Detective Club subreddit. All the best, Kurt. Kurt, thank you for finding us on the Famicom Detective Club subreddit.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Famicom Detective Club continuing to do great things in the world.
Yeah, I agree, and there's
bringing people together.
Yes, there's a fine alliance between that game and us. The first thing I wanted to interrogate there is, do we know for sure that Metroid Prime 4 will not be voucher eligible?
Well, I think the problem is that I don't think we know for sure, and it kind of seems like it would be the same with Legend ZA.
Right.
It seems like it would be ridiculous if they're not.
Right. Well, but Legend ZA, that we know is like late this year. Right?
Right, but can't you redeem
only if it's like pre-orderable?
Right, and yes. I think that's the problem right now is that neither of these are pre-orderable.
Right.
And so
but I sort
not
of think
voucher eligible.
It's possible that Prime 4 will become pre-orderable before July. I think that's possible.
I think it's possible too.
So that my first recommendation is going to be hold out hope for that one.
Yeah.
Because I think I sort of don't expect Legends to come out until November, right? So I think that's way off.
Right.
That'll go up for pre-order maybe a month or two in
September
advance.
Or something.
Yeah. So that one's gone, but we have literally no concept of when Metroid's coming out.
Right.
So I'd say hold out hope for that one. But then it is kind of a quandary. What do you? I mean, do you have does anything come to mind for you, Mark?
Well, okay, so I'm going to assume that Kurt has what I'll call like the heavy hitters. Like already has, like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the
Yes.
Kingdom, Odyssey, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, like all of those are already taken care of.
Right. So the Marios are not listed here.
Okay.
So he says that he likes and owns Zelda's, Metroid's, Donkey Kong's, Dragon Quests.
Okay, got it.
So like, if you don't have Mario Odyssey, like, pick up Mario Odyssey, right?
Yeah, I feel like Mario
Yeah.
Odyssey would be a good one. I'm looking at the list of voucher games, and
You got to be careful because there are a fair number of these voucher games that retail for $50, right? So that you're like
yes.
actually not really getting a deal. Although if you got them for a little bit cheaper than the normal, like maybe.
But still,
maybe
you want to
still-
maximize your value.
You want to
okay.
maximize, yes.
All right. I have a couple of suggestions.
Yeah.
One of them is Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Kirby and the Forgotten Land, I think, is a slam dunk here. Yes, especially because it's going to get the additional content on Switch 2, which will then just be it'll be a $20 upgrade, but still.
Right. And I know Kirby's not on Kurt's list, and I feel like Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a good game, even for people that don't really like Kirby.
Yes.
Because I just thought it was like really successful, and it starts out, like fairly easily, or like the game starts fairly easy. It is a Kirby game, but I just felt like it was more well balanced than other Kirby games, and like
just a little more dynamic.
Uh-huh.
Like adding a component of like of 3D exploration, albeit like minimal, like changes the sort of like Kirby Baby Easy factor, where you're like, well, I'm still doing something interesting and engaging and exploring. Right?
Yeah, totally.
And finding secrets and stuff.
Uh,
I of course going to recommend Pikmin 4. It's I think Nintendo actually had like a banner year in 2023 with Tears of the Kingdom, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and Pikmin 4, like all in the same year, all within like a couple months of each other. Pikmin 4 rules. I know that neither Pikmin nor strategy games were on your list, but there are games that are a little bit thinkier here, like Dragon Quest and like Famicom Detective Club, and I think Pikmin is an excellent melding of the like sort of cerebral game and also just like fun, frantic action.
I'm gonna also recommend Fire Emblem Three Houses.
What a game!
So have found that I'm not really a Fire Emblem person, but I loved Three Houses. And I think if you enjoy Dragon Quest and you enjoy like the interactions between the characters and the story of Dragon Quest, I think there's a lot to love in the like kind of like school simulation aspects
Totally.
of Fire Emblem Three Houses. And I really like the characters and being able to interact with them in different ways, seeing where their story goes, being able to choose your house. I think it's really dynamic. I really love that game, and that might be worth checking out.
Yep, I think that's a good recommendation. So that's like 3 solid ones that we've thrown out there so far, right?
Yes.
And you only need 3, and also Prime 4 is like in the mix, right?
Yeah, that's true. And if you haven't picked up Dread yet, Metroid Dread.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, I assume that that's what he's referring to when he says
Metroid.
Likes to know Metroids. Yeah. So
okay, I have one other recommendation that's kind of out of left field.
Yeah.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Sharp FE.
See, I was wondering if we were going to get that or another Code Recollection from you.
No, I wouldn't do. I would not recommend. I liked another Code Recollection. I would not recommend somebody spend their money on another Code Recollection unless they were pretty confident that they would like it. And even liking Famicom Detective Club is not enough.
No.
To feel confident that you'll like another Code Recollection. So Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Sharp FE Encore. I just think this is a really cool game, and you may or may not vibe with it. But if you are if you feel like we have complementary tastes, this is an RPG that I ended up really vibing with. Even though it is kind of like clunky presentation wise, just get through the first hour. It really is not showing its best, like foot in the very beginning, like very, very beginning. But by the end, it really reveals itself to be something so incredibly fun and so unique. I don't know that they'll ever make another game like Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Sharp FE Encore. So that is my final recommendation.
Kind of seems like his recommendation of Echoes of Wisdom to you. Push through the first hour,
that's
Mark.
right. That's right. Yeah.
I would also say that, like, maybe already that they're not games that you're interested in, but there are two good Luigi's Mansion games that are voucher eligible. Mark and I both really liked Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, and I feel like I have to apologize every time we say it, but like, I had a great time with that game.
Yeah, me too. I couldn't put it down.
Mm-hmm. And 3 is wonderful as well. So, those are some options for you, Kurt. I want to hear what you end up doing.
Yeah, let us know.
I'm very interested. So, good luck, Mark. Let's get into what we've been playing this week. To the extent that we can really talk about what we've been playing this week, because we both continue to work our way through Okami. I'm playing Resident Evil 4 as part of the Super NPC Games Club.
The remake, right?
The remake, yes. So the first episode of that is available for free, or will be shortly. So you can go and check that out. There are sometimes 8, sometimes 9 of us on this games club, so it's chaos. But it's been a really fun time. And man, the Resident Evil 4 remake is so good. When's the last time you played OG Resident Evil 4?
I played it when it was released on Switch, so I want to say maybe 2018.
Did you get all the way through it?
I did. I
Okay,
did.
yeah.
I played the whole thing.
Yeah. What a game.
Oh yeah, it's great. And how different? I haven't played the remake. How different is remake?
I mean, so far it's like little things, and
okay.
a lot of stuff that I'm not noticing or remembering, because I think I haven't played it since GameCube, right? So yeah, it's pretty similar. It does a really great job of like capturing the feel of the original Resident Evil 4, and like, I had been sort of like living my life thinking that Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 remake were both like those games sort of redone in the style of 4, but playing 4 remake now, I'm like, oh no, those games were just like slightly more actiony versions of themselves. 4 really is a different beast. I forgot how much of 4 is like, instead of like moving things around and like using items to solve puzzles, it's all shooting.
It is,
where it's like,
yeah.
Go into this space, shoot the blue metals. It's like, oh, okay, this door is locked with the padlock, shoot the padlock. It's very funny to me how much the game is like, I'm action based.
Does it change, because like in 4 you can't aim and move at the same time?
Yeah, you sure can.
Oh, you can. You can in the remake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And you can do that in the. Or wait, can you?
In the 2 and 3 remakes? I couldn't remember. I played the 2 remake, and I can't remember if you can or not.
Yeah. I also can't remember now. I think you can. But yeah, I'm having a blast with that. If you're interested in hearing any of that, go check it out.
That's what I'm hoping that Capcom ports to the Switch 2.
Yeah, that would be killer. Yeah, they probably can, right?
I would hope so. I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so. The other thing we wanted to talk about, it happened 2 weeks ago, but with all the Switch 2 news and all that kind of stuff, we didn't have a chance to talk about it.
Yes.
At the end of March, Patrick, myself, and friend of the show, Connor McCabe, went to a Shovel Knight concert, Shovel Knight Steel Knight concert.
Yes.
That was held in Hollywood.
Yes, at the Fonda Theater on Hollywood Boulevard, just off the Hollywood Freeway, the 101. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a super fun time hearing like arrangements of live performances and arrangements of Shovel Knight music. But I'm so like deep into Shovel Knight that I kind of want to hear like your thoughts, reactions about it, because like I was gonna be a sucker for that experience no matter what.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. I had never gone to like a video game music concert before.
Yeah,
and I played Shovel Knight, Shovel of Hope. What is that called?
Yeah,
okay,
you nailed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it was, but I hadn't played any of the like other campaigns. But it was really, I just always enjoy going to live music. And even when it's not like a genre or type of music that I usually enjoy, I feel like just hearing live music is really fun. and having it be video game music performed by this group was it was just great. I had a great time.
Yeah, it was it was super fun. They performed a little piece from Mina the Hollower, the yet to be released Mina the Hollower, which I gotta say, I'm sure it was fine, but like everything else was tickling the like I recognize this nerve in my brain. We have nerves in our brains, right?
Yeah, sure.
We do now. And like then there was this like 4-minute section of Mina the Hollower where I was like, I don't know what this is.
Right. There was no. It would have been fun if they had shown gameplay footage, given like a little more context or anything like that. But also, it just kind of sounded like the rest of the Shovel Knight music to me.
Right.
But yeah, it was really fun, and like the composer was there and said a few words at the end.
I do think my favorite part of the night was when we were walking away from the theater and you said, man, I was not the composer's name is Jake Kaufman, and you said, man, I was not prepared for how much of a dork Jake Kaufman was going to be.
And it's true. I wasn't.
You weren't prepared. But to which I responded, Mark, have you ever met a composer before? But it was a great time. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it was just like fun to be with other people that are excited about video games. So
totally.
It was it was a really good time.
Yes. Okay. Well, so that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Well, of course, first we have to check in with the Nintendo Music app.
I love this, from music to music.
And now we learned that the original Legend of Zelda, both the NES and Famicom soundtrack versions, are now on the Nintendo Music app.
Because recall that in Japan, Zelda is a Famicom Disk System game, so it has access to a number of different like additional music channels. So especially in that like opening Zelda like fanfare, there are a lot more instruments just sort of like layered on top. And sometimes it's like little percussive stuff, and there's like a thing that I can't quite tell if it's supposed to be like a violin or a theremin or something, but it's like kind of wobbly, that will kind of mess with your brain a little bit if you're super familiar with the NES score like I am. But it's a neat little thing that's on there.
Yeah, it's fun that they have both versions.
Yes. It continues to be weird to me when they're like, you wait a week and you get an NES game. You're like,
right. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And then last Friday, we got 3 new Sega Genesis games for Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. You have eSWAT, City Under Siege, Streets of Rage, and Super Thunder Blade.
I would say the notable one here is Streets of Rage. Streets of Rage 2 has been on the collection for a while. Kind of cool that the original one is now here. I don't know eSWAT or Super Thunder Blade at all.
Yeah, I don't either. But, after I feel like we had like a long stretch where there were no Genesis games.
Right.
And then we got a few Genesis games, and it hasn't been that long between Genesis dumps this time, right?
I think it's probably been like at least 5 months.
Oh, okay.
I mean, hold on. Let me check. I'm consulting the spreadsheet, Mark. Yeah, so we got the spreadsheet is good. It just has a lot of information.
No one's doubting how good the spreadsheet is.
The spreadsheet's good, Mark. I don't want to hear anyone doubting the spreadsheet. All right, so the last time, yes. So Toe Jam and Earl in Panic on Funkatron, Merc, and Vector Man all came out in November
and then
2024.
Prior to that, not to put the spreadsheet on the spot.
Hey, man, you can put the spreadsheet on the spot. It can take it. Hold on. Was June the previous year.
Okay, so yeah, so that's like what I mean. It was
months,
okay, we go 18 months.
Yeah.
Then they bless us with some Genesis games. And this time it's like, oh, you just have to wait 5 months.
Right.
You just never know. There's seemingly no rhyme or reason.
There's no schedule. There's no God. We're all out here on our own.
You just never know when you're going to wake up and there's a new NSO game.
Right.
There's no rules.
No rules.
But nice, always nice when they add some new stuff to the library.
Yeah, I'm from the trailer, eSWAT City Under Siege looks like a sort of side-scrolling, you're like a robot cop thing. It looks like too many Genesis games as far as I'm concerned. And then Super Thunderblade is like a helicopter like third person flying behind it
Oh,
action
okay, yeah.
shooter game, which seems kind of cool, and I would like to try it. But yeah, eSWAT seems like, I don't know, like a joke about a Genesis game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then today, April 15th, Monument Valley and Monument Valley 2 are released on Switch. These are games that were revealed in the Nintendo Switch Direct just a week before the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct.
Yeah, and are like indie classics at this point, right?
Yeah.
I don't really know the Monument Valley games. Do you?
I've never played them either.
We probably should get to know them.
And then on Friday, April 18th, the Lunar Remastered Collection is released.
Yeah, was that another one shown off in the in a Nintendo Direct of some kind? Maybe it was in like a PlayStation showcase or something. These things are all running together for me right now. But yeah, so these are classic, like I think PlayStation RPGs originally that are being remade or remastered at any rate.
And I think that's it for new releases.
Yes, Mark, I'm going to agree with you. All right, let's close this segment out. And that brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance, 433, Mark and I'll talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, we're talking about Shakespeare today.
Shakespeare.
The immortal bard.
Ah, yes. The man with the skull.
Sure. I think that's Hamlet, but sure. And we're doing this because you suggested for 433, what if we had a list of Shakespeare plays and just said whether we'd seen them or not?
Yeah, seen or read them.
What do you have any idea what sparked that in your head? Were you thinking about Shakespeare or something?
Oh, it had come up in conversation, like a collection of Shakespeare's works, and like didn't like in college I took a course that was all like dedicated to Shakespeare. In like I feel like throughout school I had to like read Shakespeare, or I feel like it's pretty common. So
yeah,
like that
it's a common cultural touch point. I agree.
Yes. But no, there was no like I wasn't reading any prose or anything like that.
Right, and Shakespeare is like not dropping a new play or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes. So you took in college. You think you took
Mm-hmm.
it? So Sarah and I took the same Shakespeare class in college. And then when we like moved in together, had to like merge our unabridged works of William Shakespeare volumes. I think we still have 2 of them in the house. Like, I think we had to like whittle it down. Like, I already had one, took the class, needed a separate edition. But so I think we got rid of one of those. Generally speaking, do you like either reading or going to see a Shakespeare play? Now, let's start with reading. Do you like? Is that something you will do in your leisure time now?
No. I don't know that I ever have.
For leisure?
For leisure, just like read a Shakespeare play.
I mean, it's kind of. Why does anyone make you just sit there and read a Shakespeare play? Right?
Right. I am realizing as we're talking about it, I retained nothing from that college course. But I'd been exposed to, like Shakespeare in
college
other ways.
was a long time ago.
College was a long time ago. When I was in 8th grade, my junior high put on As You Like It.
Okay.
And I was in that.
Okay.
Let's see.
What was your character's name?
Yeah.
Good.
I don't remember. I was the fool. Oh, this is why did I suggest this?
I don't know.
Let's see if I can find. I was Touchstone.
Touchstone.
Yeah,
is a fool.
Yes.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Is Shakespeare in your life at all now?
I don't. Yeah, I'm trying to think the last time I have seen a Shakespeare production. I think it was with you and Sarah going to Shakespeare in the Park.
Yes, we go to the independent Shakespeare Company's productions every summer. Last summer, Sarah and I went with friend of the show, Jeremy Schmidt, and his wife. I now can't remember what we saw, but it was fun. What did we see? Oh no, they were doing Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh,
Which like fun and accessible because that's what that show is. Do you have a favorite Shakespeare show? And as I pose the question to you,
Yeah.
I know and I apologize. Sarah and I have a running joke where I at one point asked her what her favorite poem was, and she thought for like a second and then said, "Pass." Which is a perfect, I think, answer to anything like this.
Yeah, it's funny. Like no, I don't. I don't really have a favorite because I don't really feel that attached to any of them.
Yeah.
Like I totally believe that they're, like if I did read them and you hear other people talk about them or share excerpts from like Henry V or something like that, and you're like, oh, that is like really moving or profound or an interesting way to put that.
Right.
But I don't know Shakespeare well enough to really have like strong opinions.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely something that can be tough, especially like to hold in your head with like everything else that we experience.
Because I find that when I do go see, it's so rare that I am like exposed to Shakespeare that when I go see a play or something like that, it takes me a while to get into the rhythms of it.
Right, to get like locked in and even understand what's happening.
Yeah.
That you have to just kind of like stare at it cross-eyed for a little bit, like
Yeah.
one of those 3D paintings. I always like an Othello. I like a Macbeth. Obviously, Macbeth feels like a
Tragedy over comedy. Is that where you generally
kinda.
lean?
Yeah, I think that's mostly where I lean because like sometimes. Oh, that's the end of that performance of 433. I guess we will never know what my thought on comedy is. Today we were accompanied by the 8-Bit Big Band, who was the band leader for which was the guy who did the arrangements and was the front man for the band performing the Shovel Knight stuff at the Steel Dike concert. Concert a couple weeks ago. Mark, let's get into the news. Oh, that is cueing the wrong thing there. Let's get into the news.
Okay, so with the caveats that we are all just in the middle of it right now, and nobody really knows what's going on. Nobody really knows what they're talking about.
Right. Least of which us.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about tariffs as they exist today.
And as they apply to the
Nintendo.
Nintendo Switch specifically.
Yes.
Switch 2, kind of most importantly.
Yeah. So, of course, we all know that shortly after revealing the pre-order date for Switch 2, Nintendo delayed them in the United States and Canada in light of tariffs announced by the Trump administration.
Right. So, and also just to clarify the pronoun in that sentence, delayed the pre-orders, right? Not delayed the launch of the Switch 2.
That's right.
Right.
The launch, they've said that the launch is still on track.
Yes. And like, or I mean, at the very least, they have not announced a delay to the launch. Which
I mean, they've explicitly said that it's going to launch. They haven't been coy about it. I'm not saying that couldn't change.
Right.
I'm just saying, they're not like, we have nothing to announce or anything. They're like,
You're
no,
right. You
the
are
date,
right.
The date is the launch date.
Yes.
That's
right.
what they're saying right now.
As is always the case with Nintendo, though, until they like, I am not like tying my heart to the star that is this thing comes out on June 5th.
Yeah.
I think it will.
Uh-huh.
But I think we live in a world now where that's no longer guaranteed.
Yeah, that's interesting. How would Nintendo survive? I think they have to.
Sure.
I think that they are kind of like backed into a corner financially.
It's a good point,
like,
especially considering how many of these they are rumored to have like made already.
And I think their fiscal year like depends on it because they have nothing announced or they have nothing dated for Switch. So it would
True.
be a long year,
right,
if they do not get this out the door.
Oh boy, and if they release like Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza on platform systems that no one owns.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think they're kind of back like painted into a corner. I think they kind of have to, even under less than ideal circumstances. So,
which like less than ideal circumstances are kind of the ideal circumstance right now, right?
Yeah, it's worse than that.
Right.
I think for them.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think the like there is a catastrophic part here that may not be unavoidable on the front end, but like sort of in the long term, seems like I don't know how they get around the part that we're about to get to here.
Right. So Nikkei Asia has reported that the majority of Switch 2 units were manufactured in China and would therefore be subject to the currently 145% tariff. Um,
Yes.
but a relatively small portion of them were manufactured in Vietnam. And so Bloomberg is reporting that Nintendo is stockpiling these Vietnamese manufactured Switch 2 consoles in the US.
Right, and it's I will say that some of the reporting here is like, if not contradictory, like just there's a lot of information out here, and I think people are sorting through it. Nintendo is notoriously secretive about a lot of this stuff. Bloomberg is saying that roughly a third of Switch 2 units are assembled in Vietnam, which would originally under the tariffs that Trump proposed would be subject to a 46% tariff, which is a lot. But now that they're paused, they would only be subject to a 10% universal tariff from like anything coming into the US. And so like at a 10% tariff, it's not likely that Nintendo would raise the retail price. Like it's possible they already have a little bit of tariff built into their current pricing of 450, right?
Right.
Just assuming that that was going to happen on some level.
Right.
But anything that is coming from China is at this point anyway going to be subjected to this almost 150% upcharge.
So does it say in the Bloomberg article like a third of them are in Vietnam? Are the 2/3 of them being manufactured in China? Like those are the two locations where they're being manufactured?
I don't know if that is stated here outright. I'm sort of just scanning the article here as we go. But yeah,
that is interesting because I feel like the reporting around it prior to this was like, oh, but Nintendo's manufacturing in Vietnam, so like they're not as affected by the China tariffs as they would be. But I think this kind of contradicts that narrative. And like, yes, a third of them are being manufactured in Vietnam, so it makes sense that they would then prioritize those to be sent to the US.
So that's like sort of the rest of it is that like even if they had sort of been thought to be sort of like shipping them, worldwide from both assembling countries, Vietnam and China, that now they've reprioritized that so that the Vietnamese ones will come to the US almost exclusively, and by some let's see. So it looks like as of February that 725.2 thousand Switch 2 units are stockpiled in the U.S. Fewer than 1 million from Vietnam. So it's if a 10% tariff is all that's being levied against it, I assume that the price won't change, right?
Right.
But like according to Bloomberg, at the 46%, which was the amount that Vietnam was going to get, the analyst that they spoke to, Robin Zhu, expected them to raise the price by $50 to $100. So at 142%, who even knows what like additional costs the Switch 2 could incur?
Just the other day, PlayStation announced that they're raising the price of the PlayStation 5 in like the UK, in Europe, in the Middle East, like
interestingly, not North America.
Right, not North America.
I don't know how they're doing that.
Well, I think some of what I've been reading is speculation from fans online saying, oh, like PlayStation is prioritizing North America, like they're trying to protect their
their
kind
market
of advantage
share,
in North America, and so they're raising prices everywhere else to try to like make up for whatever they're losing in North America,
right?
Assuming that they're not going, because they've raised prices multiple times, I think like more outside of the US on the PlayStation 5 than they've raised it in the US.
I mean,
PlayStation 5.
The PlayStation 5 in the US has not increased in price.
Oh, okay.
It's been 500 or 450 for the discless version since it launched.
But I wonder if for I mean, Nintendo is so Japan focused
Right.
that um that feels like where they would primarily try to protect their interest. But I wonder if they will. I don't know. Yeah, it's difficult to predict what they want to do because um like would they be willing to sell in the US at a loss to protect market share?
Would Nintendo?
Yeah.
It's tough, right? Because it does not seem like that is their. You and I have taken a very like middle of the road, like what are you gonna do? The price is what it is. Stance on this thing where like sort of the online discourse about it is like it's crazy that Nintendo's charging this for the console. It's even crazier what they're charging for games, right? Mario Kart World in particular at $80 seems like an affront to people and a personal insult to their mothers. But like that does imply to me that Nintendo's like, this is what we want to charge. This is the price that we know that like there's going to be some kind of reaction to it, and we don't care. That's the price that we want to charge for the game. There's enough like development and technology and whatever in these things that they think it's worth it and that people will pay for it. So like, are they in a place where they want to like backpedal on that because of these tariffs, or like what? Yeah, I mean, I really don't know. It's impossible to predict the psychology of a company. But yeah, whatever their next move is going to be like very interesting.
Do you think that it's possible that they don't change the price because they're accepting pre-orders in everywhere but the US and Canada right now?
Yes.
And so it seems like that those prices are the prices, you know?
Yeah, sure.
And so if they are going to change the price,
And generally speaking, those prices are higher everywhere else than they were going to be listed in the US anyway.
huh,
Right? Like that's the like buying power of the non-dollar currencies is just like less effective. I guess in Japan it's cheaper,
in
right?
Japan is cheaper, but still like more expensive than the Switch. You know what I mean? So it's
Yes,
like,
right.
yes, it's cheap. It's like $350, but compared that to like the buying power of the average Japanese consumer,
Right.
it's still expensive. Not like PlayStation 5 expensive,
Right.
but yes, cheaper than the US.
But if you look at like UK and like elsewhere in Europe, like the pricing there is like always more expensive
Right.
versus what we're paying for it in the US.
Right. But so yeah, so all those prices set, seems like they're not changing them. They're accepting pre-orders.
Right.
Like all of that is happening. It's just North America. And yeah, do they raise the price just in North America, or do they eat the cost difference just in North America? Like,
right.
what do you do?
And like, is it really just about like right now they're like, okay, we're just gonna sell the Vietnamese manufactured ones.
Yeah, let's see how many we can get in here.
Let's see how many we can get in here, and then like we'll change the allocation and like sorry GameStop, you're getting 2 now per store.
Yeah, 700. Let's say there's 750,000.
Right.
That does not seem like very many.
That's fewer Switches than were sold on the first day of the Switch 1.
Oh, okay.
Right, like it was like 900,000. I think it was just under a million. I believe, but I haven't checked that number in a long time. So, in any event, yeah, that like it could be that like that's just what they're doing, and the first batch of Switch 2s will sell at the price that they've advertised, and then it gets a price hike. Like I think that is a very likely scenario.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're like working on like upping the production capability of the Vietnamese provider. Like, is that possible?
Maybe, but also like, how do you do that with any amount of certainty?
Right.
What will happen in the next month?
Yeah.
In the
totally.
next 2 weeks, in the next whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
there's
it's so volatile right now.
Exactly.
Like, how can you make any informed decision?
right, and this is obviously just a microcosm of what like all businesses and like all economies around the world are doing, trying to play chicken with like a literal madman who's wielding tariff power. foolishly. So like, yeah, it's bad news all around. And like, it's the sort of thing that all feels like it could quickly become existential, um, for Nintendo and then for everyone else. So I don't like it. When we were pitching jokes for the top of the show, you were like, I don't want to do a joke about tariffs because like it sucks. I hate this conversation.
Yeah, and it's like it's impossible to try to speculate and to try to
Hmm.
guess as to what they're going to do
Yes,
because uh it all just feels so up in the air. Yeah, and you have to wonder how long
it
can they
just
wait?
is up in the air, right?
How long
Yeah.
can they wait? How long do you think that they can
Hmm.
wait to do pre-orders? Do they have to do pre-order? You know what I mean? It's like, but what do they like? Even if you game it out, you're like, okay, let's say that they decide not to do pre-orders. What does that afford them? Because at some point they're gonna have to, like, what do they get
Right.
from doing that?
Right.
Because ultimately, I think it comes down to what are you charging people for this console, and they're gonna
Yes.
have to decide that whether they do pre-orders or not.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, like, if they can do pre-orders and like sell through their initial stock, which is all like Vietnamese based, then they can at least like have one set price for that, and then do like a sort of second launch at like, okay, now it's available again. It's $700.
But I think that it would be so. I mean, obviously, that's a terrible scenario that they don't want to do,
Right.
right? Because
Right.
it's like, hey, yeah, the first 900,000 people that can buy this console get it at a reasonable price, and then everybody else after that is going to have to pay, like significantly more. You are just tanking your sales.
Yeah, totally. But it's like, what is the alternative? Is like all of them become more expensive?
Or the alternative is to eat it.
Right. But how much of 142% tariff can you eat?
Right.
Like that's a lot. I
Right.
know Nintendo doesn't sell their consoles at a loss, but like how much of a profit were they making?
Right.
Um, yeah, it's just it's impossible really to know. Good luck, Nintendo. Good luck to us, Mark.
Can we even guess as to when we'll hear anything?
No, I mean I think that we will hear something before um Nintendo.com's
Right, which
pre-orders.
is like May 18th or something. It's
It's
like
it's
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 like a
May,
month from now.
mid-May, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll know by then because I do think it's possible that there's a world where those are the only pre-orders,
Mm-hmm.
and then everyone else just has to like get it. And we'll see how any of that plays out.
Yeah. Crazy. Just
Hmm.
crazy, crazy, crazy. Some additional notes about the upgrade packs for the Switch 2 edition of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. The Switch 2 upgrade does not include the DLC for Breath of the Wild.
Yes. So the Switch 2 editions of these games, which are run better and have HDR and smoother frame rates and all that kind of stuff, are not complete editions of these games. If you want the DLC, so the Trial of the Sword and the Champion's Ballad for Breath of the Wild, that will incur a separate cost, and that separate cost is still $19.99.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Tears of the Kingdom is a complete game because it
Yes.
didn't have any DLC. This to me is lame. This should absolutely just be part of the Nintendo Switch 2 edition.
Yeah, it makes me wonder why they wouldn't, because like I guess like I can see the rationale of like they never released a like complete edition of, really that's what they should have done, is that there should have like 5 years ago been a Breath of the Wild complete edition for $60 that included the DLC, right?
Yeah.
Like this is a problem that they should have fixed already. And it means also that like forever there's the DLC content is only ever going to be downloadable. It's not on any game cart
Right.
anywhere in the world. So the we'll talk about this in a second, but the physical versions of the Switch 2 editions of these games have the upgrade on the cart itself. So like it isn't something that you'll have to like download. This is true of the other physical editions of um, Switch 2 games. So like Kirby, that it'll have that stuff actually on the card itself. Um, but yeah, the DLC for Breath of the Wild is never going to be part of that club.
Yeah. I don't know. It just feels like it. Just feels like it should have been included.
Feels like it should have been included, and also like if you start like doing the adding up the price stuff, like yeah, okay, Mario Kart World is an $80 game. If you want Zelda complete Switch 2 edition, all of its DLC, that's a $90 game.
Yeah.
And it's almost a 9-year-old game.
Right.
You know, it's still one of the greatest games ever made, of course. And yeah, I mean, I spent $115 on Super Smash Brothers because I bought all the DLC for it. But I'm dumb. You don't have to be dumb.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, the physical versions of the Switch 2 editions contain the upgrades on the cart.
Yep.
So there was a little bit of confusion around that, but no download will be necessary. Then finally, the Zelda Notes function that will be part of the Switch 2 editions.
Yeah.
And will be part of like the Nintendo Switch app. It has a daily bonus feature where you go into it and it's basically like a roulette wheel of different bonuses that you can get once a day. And there's a bonus included that is weapon repair.
Right. Mechanic that is not part of the game at all. Like weapon degradation is obviously such a big part of it. And I assume it just like repairs all of your weapons that are in your inventory that haven't all the way broken.
Oh, I don't know. Or maybe you just have to, it's like a one-use thing.
Yeah,
and you
who
have
knows?
to decide which item to use it on.
It's just interesting that like something that is such a fundamental part of both of these games that they're like, yeah, this thing randomly makes it undoes it for one of these things.
Yeah, I think it's a funny way to I kind of think it's a fun bonus because it is.
I think so too.
Because
yeah.
it is something that's like so antithetical to what the games offered before. It's not like Nintendo didn't hear people saying that they, wanted something like this. They know people want it. They didn't add it to Tears of the Kingdom. They just don't believe that it should
that
be
it's
included
good for the game, right?
So it's kind of funny to me that they include it as like a bonus, where it's like, well, you can get it,
right?
But it's just not it's
not something you can control, right? Like they wouldn't make that like an amiibo functionality or something like that,
right?
It's the Zelda Notes app thing, or not, the Zelda Notes functionality within the Nintendo Switch app is so strange and interesting to me because it's obviously adding like a lot of content,
a ton of content. It has all those like audio diaries
and
stuff. Yeah,
well, and just like the mechanic of like giving you an audio guide to every point of interest on the map. And like, does it know? Like, does it check off things as you get them? Like, if you like, it won't guide you to a Korok you've already collected, right?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how that works.
Yeah, we got to get our hands on this thing and like actually experience it. But it's just crazy that like they're putting all of that in the phone app,
right,
instead of in the games themselves,
right.
And so that is functionality that will go away at some point.
Yeah, also true.
Why do you think they did that this way and not build it into the games itself?
I genuinely could not tell you. I mean, maybe it's just to encourage people to engage with the Nintendo Switch app.
It does mean that the Nintendo Switch app, and therefore your phone, is interacting pretty immediately and directly with what you're playing on Switch, right? Do we know if they have to be like on the same Wi-Fi network, or like is there a proximity thing? Like if I'm in my house, and I've got your phones for some reason, and you're playing the game here, can I get like the audio logs that you're discovering?
Yeah, is it somehow tied to your like Nintendo Switch Online account, and so it's
always pinging online?
that way?
Or is it doing like some like near field reader thing, and like it can sense like, are they communicating with each other that way? And are they like stealth second screening functionality
because it does
here?
Seem like a second screen experience of a sort. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how any of that works.
There's something going on here. I just want to pin it right now as a thing that we'll revisit later and go, oh.
Yeah, here's the thing is I think it's really cool that they're adding all of this functionality, and yet I can't see myself engaging with it very much. just because I haven't really engaged with
the app at all.
The app at all.
Here's the thing that I do think that, I mean, if I choose to play Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom again, which I do feel like is sort of an up in the air question, right? Like the games look beautiful, but I've played them already, right? It has been a long time since Breath of the Wild, so maybe it's time for another trip. But the functionality of like, take me to this shrine, that is appealing. If it's like helping me find the things that because like I didn't get 120 shrines in Breath of the Wild. I got like 80 or something. Like there's a lot of that game I haven't experienced. So like if I can only do that through the phone app, I will use it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like it seems like good functionality.
It does seem like good functionality for sure. It also has all the like those stats, like an insane amount of stats about your like gameplay and all that kind of stuff. I just want
those stats. Give me those stats. Do you think it knows like it'll know your stats retroactively? Like if you import your save, will it have tracked all that? Yeah.
My expectation is that it will.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Let's see. EA is claiming that they will be releasing Madden NFL and FC with feature parity across all available platforms, including Switch 2. Kind of. I mean, this is what they say.
Yes.
Quote, we'll share more details on the Madden NFL and FC experiences for Switch 2 at a later date, but our goal is always to deliver a consistent player experience across platforms as much as the hardware allows.
So, okay, there's a couple different layers of bullshit here, right? Because their goal is always to deliver a consistent player experience across platforms. That's not actually true. They've released like dumbed down or like feature poor versions of these games for Nintendo platforms in the past.
Yeah, but I think they would argue that as much as the hardware allows would be their
covers
like, get
that,
out of jail free card. Yeah.
Well, and that's the other level of bullshit. So, yeah, it's at the very least, they are outward facingly saying that these games are going to have parity with the other like current generation versions of Madden and FC. And I mean, I think we can probably expect that is mostly true, right? Like they're gonna try to have as much of like the game features and stuff like that. It'll just be like running at a lower fidelity.
That is my expectation.
Yeah.
This EA news made me think of Call of Duty, which made me think of our episode last week about what was not in the Nintendo Direct.
This is a great point, Mark. Like, yes.
Anything from Microsoft. Like, you know, there have been lots of rumors that Microsoft is going to be supporting the Switch 2 pretty heavily. And, you know, Microsoft has their own presentation that they're going to be doing in June, I think. You know, and so it's totally possible that we will see more there, and that's where they're planning to reveal stuff.
And they're also legally obligated to put Call of Duty on Switch.
They are legally obligated to put a Call of Duty on Switch or on Nintendo platforms, which would be the Switch 2. So my expectation is that this year we will see the 2025 Call of Duty on Switch 2, but what to expect as far as like feature parity, I think is an interesting question.
Play out a hypothetical scenario with me for a second. So, part of what Microsoft had to do as like part of the FCC ruling was that they had to promise to put Call of Duty on Nintendo platforms for like a decade, right?
Yeah, well, it was like they preemptively signed a contract with Nintendo saying that if this deal closes, we will do it. Yes.
Right, and that was part of like what the FCC
why the
saw
FCC
was
lost.
Like, okay,
right.
great.
Yeah.
So because FCC is a federal agency, right? So it's a United States entity. If the worst were to happen and Nintendo was simply not able to release the Switch 2 in the US, what would Microsoft do?
Yeah, I mean, I would. There must be so many contingencies written into the contract, right?
Totally,
because like they signed that contract. Call of Duty didn't show up on the Switch, so it wasn't like it was like an immediate effect.
We don't know when the 10 years starts.
Exactly,
right?
And it's probably in Nintendo's best interest, like if for some reason they couldn't release the Switch 2 this year, to allow Microsoft, you know,
right,
like
to have that year.
Yeah. Like I don't think Nintendo really gains anything by like putting the screws to Microsoft if they're not able to release the console. I mean, maybe Microsoft puts
Maybe they
the
just like
screws
pay
to
a penalty
Nintendo.
or
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
I don't know.
And also, do we know if it's 10 consecutive years?
We don't know anything about it other than they signed like a 10-year agreement with Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That would be very funny though if it's um like every other year
Yes.
for 20
right.
years.
For 20 years, right.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Engadget is
Or they do one and then they're like, we need to wait for the next. We need to wait for Switch 3.
Engadget is claiming that Mario Kart World will feature a 120 frames per second mode. This hasn't been confirmed or officially announced by Nintendo, but maybe this is something that we won't have to wait much longer to hear about, because we do have the Mario Kart World Direct happening on April 17th.
Yeah, which is just this Thursday. It's crazy. You and I have been talking so much Switch 2 Direct on this show, basically 4 consecutive episodes of us talking about the Switch 2 Direct, and now we've got another Direct this week.
Yeah,
I kind of don't believe it.
I know, it is.
Do we know how
Crazy.
long it's going to be?
No, I don't think they've said.
Okay, all right,
It's
interesting.
at the cursed time of 6 a.m. Pacific time.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
just
that
seems to be our new lot
where
in
we
life.
live now. We're going to be watching Directs on our phone in bed, annoying our loved ones.
Yeah, I'm excited to find out more about this game.
Yeah, well, and I mean, to the specific point of 120 frames per second, Mario Kart is generally a pretty good showpiece for Nintendo, technologically speaking, and like usually runs at a pretty high frame rate, especially in like non-split screen modes, right? Like if it can pull off 120 frames per second in split screen
In multiplayer,
that would be nuts.
that would be nuts.
I don't. Does anything do that?
I don't know. I don't necessarily expect the Switch 2 to be able to.
I
do
don't.
it.
I don't think so either. But still.
Yeah. Yeah, I am excited. I feel like this comes, as with everything else, at an awkward time where it's like, well, we don't know when you're going to be able to,
Right.
pre-order the bundle, but we know that the bundle is arriving.
And also, 120 FPS is a feature that has been touted for Metroid Prime 4.
Yes, and that's why, normally I would say, no, Nintendo's not going to talk about the tech stuff, but they kind of...
They talking about the tech stuff now.
And it's interesting how that is the big selling point of the Switch 2. It's like, there's the new software that is going to be cool, and then it's a more powerful Switch, and they're really leaning into it in a way that I feel like Nintendo has not done previously, where they're like, yeah, we're talking about specs. We're talking about the tech, and we're excited to tell you the frame rate.
Well, and I feel like the last time they leaned into the technical specs of something was the Wii U, right? And that's really even just more in terms of this is a high definition,
right?
They really were like HD. This thing is HD, and everyone's like, I mean, it better be it's so behind that curve. But now I think they're finally in a place where they're, not on the bleeding edge or anything, but where they're up there with the industry leaders at this point, as far as the technology is concerned. So, yeah, it's I think they absolutely will. If it is capable of 120, that they will say so, and they will call it that, and kind of just whatever they can to justify the price point, which people seem to be upset about.
Finally, we have results from the Springfest Splatfest 2025 in Splatoon 3. It's been a while since we've talked about the results of a Splatfest.
We got to check in on these things from time to time.
The question was, when do you like to get things done? And you had the option of morning, afternoon, or night.
Right. And when you and I discussed this, I said I am likely team morning. You are likely team night.
I'm definitely team night.
Yeah.
For sure. And team night ended up taking it pretty soundly with 520 points, followed by team morning with 255 points. And then a poor showing for Team Afternoon, just 95 points.
Now, do you think that there is an interesting self-selection thing here where the Splatoon heads are the night people?
And so, but haven't we seen historically that being on the popular team does not necessarily mean that it's going to be successful.
Sure, and there's more data here that we could drill into about, what percentage of people did what, but I did not copy that data into our show notes, so we'll never know.
Well, and it doesn't surprise me that Team Afternoon didn't do that great because they're taking a siesta.
They just had lunch.
They just had lunch.
So,
they're
you
feeling
gotta,
tired.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? Are we getting anything else done today? We knocking off early? All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. Okay, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Don't forget, join our Discord. We have a Nintendo Direct coming up this week. You're going to want to be in a space where the nice, kind, and informed folks of our Discord are talking about it. Email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com, and we will send you an invitation. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thank you for listening.